Back in August 2022, I competed in the 3-day River Trent Festival, which took place over a long weekend all around the Newark area on the fantastic River Trent. Now here is the full-length match film of all 3 days of competition. However, you may be wondering why I'm uploading this video now, 12 months after the event. I know that lots and lots of you watch lots of these videos on smart TVs, and I know lots of you don't know how to pick out and find and search for certain videos. Now sometimes you might stumble on day one of the competition, you might stumble on day two, and sometimes when the videos follow on from one another it could go from day one to day three to day two. So in a bid to help you have a better viewing experience, I've uploaded all 3 days in order so that you can sit back and watch this feature-length festival of what proved to be a very interesting event, and it also includes that now very well-known bombshell on day one. So sit back and I hope you enjoy this feature-length live match fishing film. Well, good morning everybody. This is day one of the 3-day Trent Festival. All the stretchers that were being used are all around the Newark area, so this is non-tidal. It's a Saturday, we're going to be fishing Sunday and Monday, so it's 3 days fishing. We're going to be rotating through sections, and the competition is going to be decided on overall section points. It's a red hot day, as you can see, bright sunshine. We're faced with a very familiar low and clear river. This is any method, so whilst I haven't brought any whips or poles with me or anything like that certainly for today, I have brought float gear with me. However, I won't be setting it up on this peg. I've got 3 rods set up. I'll talk you through that. Like I say, it's all about section points, this competition, so obviously the biggest thing you want to avoid is a blowout, so I've got 2 or 3 rods set up just to cover my options. So it's flat calm, as you can see. This is peg 15 at Rolleston. The river's going from right to left, and the peg numbers, they're the low numbers and they go up towards the high numbers. So we've got a bit of a bend here, and then it goes up to another bend just where that wind turbine is. I actually drew there about 3 weeks ago. I drew right on that bend, and I had a barbel there about £5 and some bits as well, but the end peg actually ran away with it. The upstream end peg caught some skimmers. I'm sat in the water, so I'll quickly just go through the setup for you just before we get into the match, just so you've got an idea of you know, what the approach and everything is going to be over the next 3 days. I've got 3 rods set up. So the rod nearest to us is a 13-foot XD, and that is basically a barbel rod. I've got that set up with a bomb on it, a 1 metre hook length, and that I'm going to be using, I've got some meat with me, but possibly corn as well, and I'm going to be loose feeding some hemp just with a catapult just in front of me. It is quite deep here, but with a bomb obviously I can search down the peg. So that is all about barbel, really strong gear on that one. The middle rod is a line that's clipped up at 21 metres just there, which is still in that main flow. So the reason why it's 21 metres is because I found a spot where it's nice and clean, there isn't any snags there, and when I went to the sticks, that's exactly what it worked out at. So that's the reason why it's an odd number. So that is a rod that's going to be set up with a decent hook on it, 0.15 hook length for bream or any bonus fish. And then the rod that's furthest away is, again, it's exactly the same rod. It's a 12-foot Horizon Pro distance, and that is set up at exactly the same line, 21 metres, and that is to catch anything. So that's for fishing for roach, fishing for dace, fishing for anything with a smaller hook and a lighter hook length. I've got 2 nets in, because if we do catch a barbel, the barbel will have to go in its own net unless it's of a certain size, and if it's a certain size or it's struggling, we will weigh it straight away and get it put back. And that is basically it. So that is the setup. We're going to be fishing 11 until 4. It's all about the section points. Is that a bird of prey? What's that then? Is that a buzzard? Or are they kites? I know there's more and more kites around now. You can hear it calling. I don't know. So I'm going to start on that 21 metre line. I'll start off fishing for bites, for roach, dace, anything. Obviously if there's any skimmers there or any bream there, I can switch to that other rig and fish with a proper hook. And then all that time I'm going to be loose feeding hemp on that short line, where at any stage obviously I can drop a bomb on that and try and pick up a stray barbel. So to start off with, I'm just going to fish for bites. Simple as that. I'll fish with small baits, maggots. I've got some pinkies, bits of chopped worm, And if I could just keep putting fish in the net, then obviously that's what I'll do for that first period. Just catch what I can what's there on that 21 metre line. I'm going to be putting a bit of chop worm in. The ground bait mix that I've got is F1 green and match method dark, so it's quite a dark mix. It's quite fine. Alright, and it is fish meal obviously. And I'll just be using small feeders, kicking off with the ground bait, and then if I've got to switch to a maggot feeder to keep bites coming, then that's what I'll do. I've got 2 or 3 pints of maggots with me, and I've got 2 or 3 pints of casters as well if they prefer caster. Just kicking off with the worm finely chopped to start with, fishing for anything. Obviously I could put small bits of that on the hook. Got a few boats going through already, but it is flat calm, bright sunshine, everything's really against it, but hopefully there's going to be some fish on that 21 metre line where I could just kick off just by putting a few fish in the net no matter what size they are.
Is it a competition today?
Yes.
I thought it must be.
Oh, looks very professional.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, as long as we look like we know what we're doing,
Yeah.
that's main thing, isn't it?
A bit like us.
Yeah, you look like you know
Yeah.
exactly what you're doing. Is that it? Time! Second cast, booked a fish, just on a little piece of worm, just a worm head. Doesn't feel too bad actually, the first fish. It's a, wow, how about that? I didn't expect that. Second cast, I expected a little roach or a dace. I'm catching them if they're there. Just kicked off with a size 16 on. Size 16 hook, MXB2, just to see what's there. That's a 30 gram feeder I've got on. It's just holding all right. That's another fish. Good stamp. It's a beautiful stamp, that. Missed that one. That was as soon as the feeder hit the bottom. Took a bit of worm, that. So all I'm going to do is just keep going on this and just catch what I can for as long as I can. Some other fish. I feel a decent stamp as well. I'd only been in a few seconds, but a really positive bite. I've got my rig free running at the moment. And it's a perch, that's why. It's getting heated. That rig's working alright at the moment. Not missing any bites. So I'll just keep on going, doing what I'm doing, and hopefully these fish will keep coming. So that will be a better skimmer, that one. Been fishing for about 30 minutes now. It's just ticking over. I've only seen one fish caught right up to my right, looked like a decent net fish, but that's it. I don't really know what's been caught, so I'm just going to continue on this, trying to hit as many bites as I can. It seems to be working all right at the minute. Just swapping between maggot, caster and bits of worm. Just a mixed bag, really. There are some little fish out there, some bleak, some dace out there as well, and some very little roach. So you're going to miss the odd bites. I mean, look at the size of them. You know, they can be hard enough to catch on a float. But I am putting a few fish in the net, and I'm obviously still loose feeding hemp on that short line. So I'll just keep going with this and see if it continues, and just take whatever I can. Quite a few boats today, quite a bit of activity, but it is a bank holiday weekend, so, and the weather's nice, so it's fully expected. See, they're not a bad stamp if they keep coming. Like I say, when you've no idea what's happening around you, you've just got to keep going, you know. Nice bonus. There are many more of them out there. Beautiful bonus, that one. Well, we've been fishing for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm still getting bites from small fish, but they are really, really small. The lad up to my right, I can just see him, and I've seen him net 3 fish. And I can't tell what they are, I can't quite tell. I don't know if they're skimmers. He's proper sitting and waiting. I don't think they're proper bream, but they could be decent skimmers. And it looks like he's just being patient and sitting for bites. I've just seen a fish crash downstream as well, quite a long way downstream, out of my peg. And I don't know if that was the angler downstream from me playing a fish, a good fish. I don't know. So it's a little bit awkward at the moment because I don't think I'm going anywhere with these small fish. I don't think they're going to be quite enough of them. I missed that bite then. So I think I'm going to give it about another 10 minutes. See if it gets any better. If it doesn't, I'm just going to change to an open-ended feeder because I've got a maggot feeder on now. And just fish a bit more like a bream type. A bream type method. I've heard him chopping worms, so I know he's putting worms in. And just slow it all down and just see if I can pick off a bonus fish. That's a good sign. I've just done 2 pieces of worm that time. So a bigger hook bait. Just slowing it all down. So I'm just going to repeat that again. Two bits of worm. Just putting chop worm and caster through the feeder. Open-ended feeder. But the small fish are leaving this bait alone as well, so you can sit with it. I was hoping that was going to be another skimmer. It's not, it's a chunky bonus perch. Well, that seems to be working better. There's 3 fish in 3 casts, just changing to that bigger bait. No, they're not all skimmers. It's just putting some weight in the net. Well, that's 4 fish in 4 casts. Only the first one was a skimmer, but like I say, it's putting some fish in the net now. Let's hope it continues. He's just netting another fish up there. It looks a good fish. I think it might be a bream. It's hard to tell from where I am. Definitely got more weight than me, but I'm coming back with fish now. That's a little skimmer. I think that's 4 I've seen him net now, so I'm just going to keep going. This is the way that I would, if I had to target bream on this river, then this is how I'd be fishing for them. So I'm just going to keep going. He's on the same line. Well, he's a little bit further out than me, to be honest, where he's casting. Bigger feeder. But I'm sure if there's any in front of me, the way that I'm fishing is the way that I would imagine you'd catch them. So I'm just going to keep going. Just keep putting fish in the net, and if a bonus comes along, then that's obviously a bonus. Well, it's working much better. I'm not catching bream or even skimmers, but putting fish in the net, which is obviously much better than not putting fish in the net. But every time I get a bite, I keep expecting the rod to stop as I hook a better fish. So, and I've got quite positive gear on as well now as regards the hook and line as well. So if I do hook a better fish, I've got decent gear on. But we've just been fishing 2 hours now and it's just ticking over. I have to go slightly, tiny bit further upstream from where I was because I've been snagged up twice there. So I'm casting straight in front of me now. Hopefully it's going to be clear there. Ticking over now, it feels like it's getting better. I'm going to keep that little bit of chopworm going in every cast, and some casters. Keep that more positive, robust bait on as well. I've left a 1 metre hook length on. I'm not sure that's right or not, but I just think it might catch me extra fish. But it is getting the attentions of small fish as soon as it goes in. Normally I'd have it shorter than that, but I'm leaving it because I want to be a little bit less selective. If there are any skimmers up in the water, that longer hook length just might help me catch an extra couple of fish. That was a really slow drop back. This feels very strange. I don't know if this is foul hooked or a better fish, or it could be both. Yeah, come off. That was pretty sure that was foul hooked. Pretty certain. As soon as I hooked it, felt like it was coming in sideways. Just got a bit of an upstream breeze now. That's just holding the line back a little bit with the bow. Because I'm fishing for better fish now, I am fishing with a bow in the line. Well, I've just switched. That positive approach, caught a few fish, but then it just got worse and worse. I really persevered with it. Probably a bit too long. I saw the lad up to my right net 2 more fish, so that's why I stayed on it a bit longer, until it got to the point where the swim had just completely died. I just couldn't get a bite on anything. So I've literally just made the decision now. This is a 3-day competition. I've just made the decision to just go back to how I started, just trying to catch anything. And I've just had a couple doing that, so I'm just going to see if I can get the small fish lined up. I'm going to miss a few bites, I know I am, so I'm fishing a small bait. I'm just going to try and persevere with it. I've just had 2 on it and they were both, well, I've just had that perch, and the one before that was a roach about 3 ounce, so they're worth catching if there's obviously more of them. So for this middle bit now, I haven't been on that short barber line, I'm still feeding it. The only angler I can see is one to my right. I did see a landing net go out down to my left, but I couldn't see what it was. So I'm just, other than the lad on my right, I'm pretty blind, to be honest. So I've just obviously got to just try and get some weight in the net. I haven't been able to get a bonus fish, so I've just gone back now to just see. I didn't get a bite that cast, which is strange, but I'm just going to try and go back to the beginning now. In fact, there's no bait on. Just going to go back to the beginning now and just try and catch anything I can. There are fish rattling that on the way down. That was before the feeder even hit the bottom, that was rattling. I had to, in fact I have hooked it. See, this is why you miss bites as well. And look at the size of that. But if I can get it down to the bottom and just get some, even if it's just 2 and 3 ounce roach, obviously it's all going to help. Well, the lad up to my right has gone on the pole now. He's been loose feeding that pole line all day. I think he's been putting hemping on it. There's 90 minutes left. He's gone on that and he's catching some roach now on the pole. So whether I would have caught more fish actually fishing a float on this peg, I don't know. But this catch anything approach, it's getting me a few bites, but some of them, they're literally that big. Little tiny bleak, some of it hitting the bait on the way down. Not much sign of any skimmers or roach. So other than the lad on my right catching on the pole, I still haven't heard anything about either section's fishing. So I'm just persevering with this for just to catch what I can, really. If they are bleak, odd dace, odd roach. Yeah, he's catching quite steady on the pole now. He'll end up with a tidy weight today. So I'm going to keep going on this, and then obviously going into that last hour, if nothing changes, I'll have to make a decision whether I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing, or I'm going to try for a better fish, or obviously I've still got that short line that I'll put in for a barbel. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't seen or heard any being caught, but if it stays like this, I will be having a drop on it in that last hour just to see if I can snare a bonus fish. Well, if that's a better fish, just put single pinky on that time, just trying to catch anything. Could be a perch, I think. This feels like a perch. Yep, bonus perch. Every fish is a bonus. Beautiful. Single pinky. And his peg up to my right has just got stronger and stronger on the pole. It's catching really steady now. So, just going into this last hour, I'm not quite sure what to do because I haven't had any more information. I don't know whether just keep the fishing like this. I'm just trying to get every ounce that I can get, keep putting something in the net. I don't know whether to go for a skimmer or a bream. And I've obviously got my barbel line as well, which I haven't been on yet. And I have no idea what I need, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do at the moment. Good pull, that one. Might be another bonus perch, maybe. Oh, it's a skimmer. Look at that. Where's they been all day? Look at that. That's a beautiful fish, that one. Catching a few more of them. There's 50 minutes left. I'm catching these small fish now, but I'm not even getting the better, 2 or 3 ounce roach in between. It's just all those little dace and odd bleak. That up to my right, he's gone back on the feeder. If he kept getting the odd bonus fish or the odd net fish, it would have ticked over nicely this line today. Like I say, when you don't know what else has been caught in the section, it's a bit difficult making your decisions. That looks like a little skimmer. I kept getting those mixed in with the other small fish. You could put a nice net together. So that one hit it on the drop. Every time, well, just about every time one's hit it on the drop. Do I hand that off? No. Nearly everyone that's hit it on the drop has hooked itself. Wow, look, it's actually gone through. It's actually falling through fish. That was a good bite. That's another decent fish. Makes you wonder if they've been there all day, but I'm just going to keep going now for this last 45 minutes. Just get every single fish I possibly can. Just another skimmer. It is. Look at that. Make a huge difference. Keep picking them off. Another quick bite then, as you saw, that was only in a few seconds. Well, is it the time of day? I have changed the way I'm feeding. All I'm feeding now is worm. Time! Fish on! Right on the whistle. Well, let's land this one, hopefully. Feels like it might be one of them dumpy little roach. Or is it a skimmer? Little skimmer. Nice fish to finish on. Don't know where they've been all day, but always nice to finish on a fish. Had a few good spells, a few bad spells, a few spells and missed bites, had to change things. I don't think I got my feeding quite right, but certainly that last 45 minutes has definitely been better on that 21 metre line for all different species. The key thing that I changed with that was just a smaller hook bait basically, and just worm, just really minced worm. That's all I fed, and that was way better. Now whether that's the approach that's better or whether it was the time of day, we'll never know, but for whatever reason it was definitely better. I think that lad there's, I'm pretty sure he's beat me. He's gone back on the pole and he's continued catching roach on the pole, so that was always going to be a bit of a gamble, not setting the pole up and stuff on here, but you know, from speaking to some of the Trent regulars that have been coming in all the Wednesday matches, they fished the national here, that because the river is so low and so clear, there are lots of places in the river where you need to fish in the flow, but the flow is out of pole range, it's out of float range, and that's why the feed has been doing well. This is not one of those pegs, I'll be honest with you, because there's quite a bit of flow coming quite close in here, but I've used that more for a barbel line, which obviously hasn't produced one, but I haven't spent loads of time on it. So yeah, I mean, I can't really say too much about how I think it's gone, other than I've just kind of got my head down. I thought it was going to be all about small fish. If they are bream or bigger skimmers what he caught, then maybe I should have fished for bream early on. I don't know, but I don't know what this stretch is like for bream. I know that there are sometimes some caught up there, but I don't know about here. So that's it. I can't really say too much without seeing the result and seeing what the other weights are in this section. So I'm obviously hoping that I'm not going to be too far down in the section if I haven't done very well, because I want to stay in the competition for the next 2 days. So I'm going to get some gear packs away, wait for the scales to come down, and then we'll kind of a quick download once I see the weights and hear about how the rest of the section's caught. Good thing about these waders is they're very easy to wash. Way better than I thought. 15.10. There we go. It weighed much better than I thought. Well, that's weighed much more than what I thought. I've had £15.10, I think it is, which I'm really pleased with. That would have put me third, amazingly. I think the lad just up to my right's beat me, just. And then there's been possibly with a few ounces, I think. And then there's been a £17 right up there, so that would have put me third. However, it looks like there's been a bit of a mix-up with the pegs. I've drawn Rolleston today. This is Rolleston, but there's also a Rolleston piscatorial stretch. I should have been on peg 15 on that stretch, not this one. Never done anything like that before, and I've been double checking with the pegs like this. It's like on these natural venues, you've really got to make sure you're going down the right lanes, going to the right pegs, right stretch and all that. So it looks like I fished the wrong peg. I should have been peg 15 down there. Obviously nobody's picked up on that during the match. so that would have put me third. So I don't really know. I mean, obviously I want to get out of this whatever I can, and that is basically, looking back now, I think I fished the right match. I did right not going for barbel. I didn't need barbel, and I could have easily had another couple of pound with those spells that I've had where I've gone chasing bigger fish. I probably perhaps should have just carried on putting fish in the net, but you know. So as regards the actual tactics and everything for this match, on this peg, I think it's been right. I don't know what the weights are down there. I don't think they're quite as good, but I will obviously find out. But like I say, that's not the issue now. The issue is what's going to happen now. I don't know if that means that I'm actually disqualified now, or whether it just means that today's result doesn't count, or whether I get maximum points. I honestly don't know, because I've obviously not been in this position before. So yeah, I'm a bit shocked at the minute, to be fair. But as regards the actual match, as regards the actual fishing and everything, yeah, it's turned into I've had a nice day's fishing, haven't I? You know, and a nice mixed bag of fish, different sizes, different species, and I'm glad I didn't spend longer going for barbel. But obviously all that is overshadowing the fishing at the minute, so I've just got to take the positives out of it. I think of, you know, the mix and everything I've used, possibly the line that I fished at 21 metres was right. I'm sure of that now, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. Well, I've just got a message back from Rob Casterton, the organiser. He's just finished off weighing in because he's actually fishing. Basically, it means that today's result is void. It doesn't mean that I'm disqualified from the festival, so I can obviously still come and fish tomorrow and Monday if I so wish. But obviously that really puts me I don't quite know how that'll work on the points. It will probably might mean I get maximum points. I'm not quite sure how it works, but I'm going to come and fish. You know, this is not something I've done before, and to be quite honest with you, the way I feel right now, I don't really want to upload this video, but it's real life. You know, these are the things that happen, especially on natural venues. You've got to make sure that you're heading off to the right spot, and you know, I do want to upload it because I think there's quite a bit of value in what you've seen today in this style of fishing, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the next couple of days. So I am going to fish day 2. I am off to a different section tomorrow. I think it will be a more familiar section. I think it could be Black Dyke, or it could be Shoulders or East Stoke. So I'm going to head home now, get some chips on the way home, and I've got a few ends to tie, and just kind of try and clear my head and get ready for battle again tomorrow. Each day, yeah, it's obviously a festival, but there are prizes to be won each day. So, you know, there's still money to fish for and position to fish for. So obviously I'm very disappointed, you know, especially if I would have ended up with a really low score like it looks like I might have done, because that would have kept me in contention, but that's what it is. So I'm going to head off home now and recharge, ready for tomorrow. Well, good morning everybody. It's another really bright sunny day. There's a few clouds around today, but it's very muggy, it's very warm. This is day 2 of the Trent 3-day festival. After yesterday's huge disappointment, it just kind of puts me out of contention for the festival for this year, unfortunately. But you know, I mean, I had a cracking day's fishing yesterday. If you didn't see that live match film from day 1, then it is right here on this channel for you to watch. But I caught loads of fish, I had a fantastic day's fishing. However, the bombshell at the end just kind of put me out of the festival. So obviously it's up to me whether I continued fishing the competition, and you know, even though I'm out of it, I'm going to continue. So it's day 2 today. I've drawn a very different section. This behind me is what's referred to and what is known as Sheldon's. Now, I've drawn a very well-known peg here. It did dominate kind of earlier on in the season. However, on recent form it hasn't produced, and even yesterday it didn't produce. It's pretty much a barbel peg. Some of the pegs here are barbel pegs. This is known for barbel, but they haven't been catching them. Yesterday, I don't know what was on it yesterday, but I think the lad who fished it yesterday fished for barbel all day, and he never got one. So I've had a bit of a dilemma about what I'm actually going to do. I'm out of the festival, so do I want to come here and just fish for an outright match win, or do I still want to fish for days fishing, try and fish for the section and get some bites? You know, so while I've been setting up, obviously I've been thinking about what I'm going to do. This is a lovely big bend in the river, as you can see. It comes round down here under pretty much into this bank, down along here. This is peg 15, and then it runs down there. The next angler is peg 17, and then the other side of that fence down there is peg 1 at East Stoke. Now that is an inform peg, but that is in another section, so you know, we're not competing against that peg for section points. I'm going to take you out to the peg. I made my mind up what I'm going to do. You know, I've got plenty to think about on this peg, so let me take you down to the peg. Somebody's cut out a couple of nice steps there, which is very, very handy. And there we go. The water's very, very clear, as you can see again, just like the river has been for the last few weeks. That's looking upstream. They are the low numbers in this section. I'm sat out in the water, as you can see, and then that's going downstream. Loads of fry in the edge, and it was like that yesterday, but I'm out in the water. Just look how clear it is. The reason why I've come out so far, I'll explain to you in a minute. I'm obviously on a platform, as you can see, nice and comfortable. The reason why I've come out here, which is knee height, as you can see, which isn't a lot on my knees, on my legs. As you can see, it actually just shallow up just there. So obviously I wanted to give myself a chance of getting any fish up and over that, and that is why I've sat out here rather than sitting back on the bank. So I'm nice and comfortable. 2 nets in. That's my main keep net. That is for barbel up to a certain size. However, if we get any big barbel, then they will be weighed and returned, and make sure that they are fit and healthy when returned. 3 rods set up. Okay, so I've got usual side tray set up, as you can see. Look at that, what I've just found in the margin. I don't think I'll be fishing with that, but wow, look at that. That's a proper big barbel river feeder, that one. So the approach is basically, rather than just go all out for barbel, if there had been some caught here yesterday or the last few matches, I would be quite confident and happy just fishing for barbel and fish for a match win. However, it's not in form. Someone fished here yesterday and there weren't any caught, and so rather than just waste a day, or feeling like I'm wasting a day sitting it out, I'm going to do a bit of both. So I'm going to fish for bites to start with, fish for silverfish, for skimmers, for dace, for roach, perch, anything. I'm going to do that out there just over halfway. I found a nice, it seems clear, at 24 metres it actually works out at. Cast a bomb out, had a feel around with the bomb, and it feels alright, and I've gone to the sticks and it actually works out at 24 metres, so that's why it's that range. I've got 2 rods set up for that. I've got 2 of the Horizon Pro distances, 90 gram set up. Alright, so I've got 2 of those set up to fish on that line. One is really kind of a dace setup, so that's with a small hook, lighter line. Just going to fish to kick off with an open-ended feeder. I can switch that to a maggot feeder, and then I've got an identical rod set up to that, clipped up at the same line, but that is where I'm going to fish a slightly heavier hook length. You know, I don't think there's any bream here, but that's going to have a bigger hook on it, a slightly thicker hook length, just for fishing for better stamp fish, if that's going to be the way to go. And then my 3rd rod is a Horizon XD. Alright, it's a 100 gram rod, and that is, as you'd expect, that is my proper out and out barbel rod. I'm going to use that for the barbel. 13-foot rod, because that should help me get any fish up and over these rocks if I do get any, and that's coupled with 10-pound main line, and I'm obviously going to fish with heavier line. And my plan is basically to kick off at 24 metres, fish for bites, just see if we can have a day's fishing, see if we can catch a few fish, because if those barbel aren't going to feed, then the silverfish could be really important, even if it's just to try and win the section. But then I'm going to start loose feeding hemp. I've got some hemp and corn there, as you can see, and I'm just going to be loose feeding that via catapult. It's about 12 metres out, straight in front of me, and then on the big barbel rod, if you want to call it that, I'm just going to have a bomb on there with a long hook length, and I can search all downstream on line with all that hemp that's going in. So that's my plan basically. So I'm going to fish for bites to start with, and then obviously I can just build up or try and put a better bait down for the barbel and just chuck on that when I feel it's time to try it. Good luck, lads. Just going to start building up this hemp line. I'm going to put a few pouches in to start off with, just to put a bed down. And obviously I can just keep putting a pouch on this whilst I'm fishing the feeder. I'm just going to put the odd grain of corn in. Just keep trickling it in, not too many. And let's see if there's any small fish on this feeder line. And that was snagged up first chuck. That's not a good sign, is it? As soon as that hit the bottom, then it was rattling. It's the first fish of the day. Not exactly the stamp that we're after, but one or two lads above me, you can see they've started on the whips, so they're obviously starting for small fish. Bite as soon as it hit bottom then, so there's some fish there now. Just got to turn them bites into fish now. I'm going to get this rig right. Not a great stamp, but getting a few bites now. People around me are just fishing whips, and that's all what's been caught, just a few little small fish. That was a much better bite, that. Well, what have we got here? This is a much better fish. Thought I was going to have to take the clip off then. This is only my light gear, this. It's pretty much a dace rig. Size 16 hook, hole 13. This is going to be a little barbel, I think, this one. That's my guess. It's got to be a barbel, this one. There he is, yep, little barbel. Try and get under my net. That's a little bonus. He's still got loads of energy. Hooking barbel on this gear, it's that's the size that you want them to be. It gives you a chance of landing them. I think this is another little barbel. I had to take my clip off that time. Yeah, it is another little barbel. Bit of stamp roach, that one. And it looks like that's working just as well. It might give me a better chance of landing any bonus fish as well, or any more of those little barbel. Well, we are an hour and a half in, and everything's pretty much the same. I haven't had any bonus fish, no more little barbel. I'm just picking off odd fish. Keep having odd spell where you get 2 or 3 casts and where you miss bites. Anglers around me just catching really tiny fish on the whip. So I'm obviously still doing the same thing. I'm only literally leaving it in less than a minute, to be fair, sometimes. I found that if I leave it more than say 2 minutes, it either gets snagged up or the bait has already been smashed. So I'm literally only been leaving it in 40 seconds, 45 seconds sort of time. Obviously when you're catching small fish quickly, that's not an issue because most of your bites are coming in as soon as the feeder hits the bottom. So I'm still doing what I'm doing, just ticking over. There aren't any odd bonus fish coming, you know, no decent perch or roach or anything. On my left, I think he's having trouble with pike now on the whip, I think. And the only other thing I've really done is I've scaled down the size of the feeder because I'm casting so frequently. I've scaled down from like a 4-hole to a 3-hole size feeder. Just because obviously it's amazing how much ground bait and how much bait you can get through with a bigger feeder when you're casting as frequently as this. Little barbel. There it is. A little baby one. How about that? Well, we're just over 2 hours in. I've just about run out of ground bait, so I've just gone back for some more ground bait. I've run out of worms as well, so what I'm going to do is I've got to chop some more worms. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to put the barbel rig out on that barbel line, obviously with the drag set, to chop some worms. And to be honest, it's looking like those small fish might be, there's enough of them I think to what could potentially win the section or this mini section. So I'm going to have a look on that barbel line, chop some more worms, got some more ground bait, and then go back on the fine dace rig and just see if I can continue catching fish on that 24 metre line. There we go, 3 pieces of corn. Well, or a nice bonus. So I'll go with the same again. That was literally only in about 2 minutes. I'll go back to chopping my worms now. Well, unbelievably, I didn't know at the time, but whilst I was playing that, the lad at the next peg on 17 got one. I'm getting an odd little indication on this. I'm still on it now. I've chopped my worms. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know whether to stay on this and just fish for barbel now, or whether that might be it now. I might not get any more signs. So I'm just going to see what happens over the next 20 minutes or so. See if we get any more, any signs of any. But the lad on my right has just hooked another one, and it's actually broke his rod and he's lost it. So it might be showing that there's one or two about to start feeding, maybe, I don't know. But I'm just going to give this another 20 minutes or so, see what happens. If it's dead or I don't get any signs, I'll see what happens around me. If there aren't any more caught, I'll just keep that feed going in, come off it, rest it, and then go back onto that 24 metre line and just try and catch some small fish, rest this line again, because that fish I've just had was actually first cast on that line. So it might need resting, I don't know, but the beauty of it is I can keep feeding it because I'm feeding it with a catapult, so I can keep building that line up whilst I actually rest it. Well, I didn't get any more signs on that barbel line, so I've come off it, rather than just sit it out, gone back onto my 24 metre line. but when I went on it, I actually went on it with my slightly more on the size 14, thicker line, and I never had a sign, literally, for about 15 casts, not even from a tiny fish, not a sign. And I was just about to come off it and go back on the barbel line, and I thought, before I do that, just out of curiosity more than anything, just switch back to my really light dace rig, and I got 5 fish in 5 casts, and I'm just catching fish steady. They're not very big. The average stamp is about an ounce to 2 ounce, but I'm putting a few extra fish in the net just to rest that barbel line. What I'll do is I'll see how this progresses. I mean, I wouldn't be against, I don't think anybody would blame me for spending at least the last hour on that barbel line, because I've got one. But I'm just going to see what I can get from this, and then when we get into that last hour, I'll make a decision. But I'm definitely going to be going back on that barbel line. I'm still feeding it. So I keep picking up fish on this. They're only an ounce to 2 ounce. The section's fishing, there are only these little fish being caught, apart from that barbel on my right. So I'm going to keep going on this until we hit that final hour, and then I'll make a decision then based on what's happened. But to be quite honest, I think most people now would sit out for another barbel, but I am going to go back on it, but I want to rest it for as long as I can. Well, that is it. It was a very uneventful last hour. I didn't get any more barbel, unfortunately. I've just got, you know, a net of mixed fish. Obviously I've got those 3 little barbel, then I've got that slightly bigger barbel, and then, which I got on the proper barbel gear, and then I've got a load of silverfish. I think 2 pegs up to my left, I think he's got about 15 pound by the sounds of it. He's got a small barbel as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the weights. Other than that, I don't really know what's being caught up to my left. I think there's lots of small silverfish being caught, but I don't know about any nets of barbel or anything like that. The lad on my right, he actually went and I think he lost 2 more, but I think they may have been on his float gear. But that's really where they've hooked the fish. It's just been on that, where you can loose feed, that 12-15 metre line, basically in the flow. So it's nice to get a proper barbel on the gear. I've had quite a few fish again, so that's good. And I got that rig working well as well on those days. I was hardly missing any bites, which is always good when you're fishing like that. So I'm gonna get some gear packed away. The scales are on the way down. Dad's volunteered to weigh in with one of the other lads, so I got a chance to pack away and everything. So I'm gonna get my gear packed away, and it'll be interesting to see what they weigh. Well, surprisingly, that's done a bit better in the section than what I thought. I've weighed 13 pound. That includes the barbel. That barbel actually, I thought it was heavier than what it was. It only weighed 4.8 pound, that biggest barbel that I had. Then I had the 3 other barbel. But obviously those days have made a huge difference. So I've ended up actually second in section in the whole 10 peg section, which, considering it covers from that end peg there right the way up there, I'm really pleased at that, to be fair, because a lot of the weights have really been coming on the float. You know, a lot of anglers are fishing with the whips, a lot of fishing with poles. On low, clear rivers like this is when the float can dominate over the feeder. But obviously, once again, it shows that there's certain ways of fishing the feeder that can give you a chance of competing, even with those small fish, particularly dace and roach. So, yeah, be interesting to see what tomorrow brings. Obviously that puts me on 2 points, Obviously yesterday's score was a bit of a bombshell, but you know, I'm not really fishing to compete in the festival now anyway after yesterday's result. So, but yeah, second in section. I'm really pleased with that, to be fair. And I think £16 won the section, and I'm not sure, I think I could have got that. I think I could have got an extra £3 of those small fish particularly, or one more barbel. But I haven't spent too much time going for barbel, so I can't really blame that. So yeah, I'm pleased with second in section with £13. That's good. So I want to get some gear packed away. I don't think I've got any gear to do tonight. I haven't lost many hook lengths and things, so that just sets us up then now ready for tomorrow morning when we're back here for day 3 of this festival. So hope you've enjoyed me sharing this with you. I've enjoyed putting it together. I've enjoyed catching some fish as well, so please give this one a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you for day 3. Well, good morning everybody. This is day 3 of the Trent 3-day festival. That's Eddie Whittle. I didn't know Adrian Whittle had drawn there. I'm at the bottom end of the Newark Dyke, so this is permanent peg 52. We've rotated through sections throughout this 3-day. So the first day we was up at Rolleston, yesterday was Sheldon's and East Stoke. Today is all the way down Newark Dyke, so you know where we are. The river here is flowing left to right, and just so you know where we are, this is permanent peg 52. The power station is way upstream. The peg opposite the power station is peg 1. This is peg 52, so you know where we are. We're on an inside bend here, and what I didn't expect is how shallow it is in the edge. Let me just show you the swim. There we go, peg 52. They've got these fantastic, brilliant big stones here, make it super comfortable to fish, which is great. It's not very wide here, it looks absolutely beautiful, overhanging trees. However, just look how shallow it is in front of this rock. That is literally, what, 5-6 inches deep, if that. So I'm gonna have to get in the water just so I've got some water in my nets and everything. But it's on the inside of a bend, so we've got some weed here. The float is going across. There's a tiny bit of weed on the inside here, but that's not going to interfere with me. So range wise here, it looks as though it's about 20, I'm going to say 25 meters wide up to that gap there. But there are some chub here, I've been told, along this stretch, so I will be casting across there for the first time in this festival. I haven't done that at all in this competition so far, but obviously I've got to cover that option today. But yeah, it looks really nice. So I'm going to get some gear out, get set up, and then I'll talk you through the approach and everything once I'm already settled down at the peg. Well, that didn't take me too long to get set up. I'm all ready now. There's about 50 minutes left to the start, so I've just got my maggots coming round down there because they've been bagged up. I am going to be starting on a maggot feeder across to that other bank, so obviously I want my maggots to be riddling, so they're going to empty out the feeder. I've gone down at a 3-rod setup. I'll just quickly show you. This it is shallow here. It's like sand, so it is quite firm. There's a little bit of sinking gone on there at that side, but it is quite firm, so it should be all right. I'm on the platform. I'm on the platform for a couple of reasons. One is it just kind of sits me a little bit higher up off the water. There is marginal weed and stuff here, and if you can get a little bit higher, then it might help. If I hook any good fish, it certainly won't do any harm. And the other reason as well is when you're on the platform, it allows you to have your keep nets a little bit higher. All right. If I am going to catch any chub today, chub are known for jumping out of nets. Okay. Obviously, you can put your landing net over the top of it and things like that, or put a bungee strap round it, like we used 2 years ago. But obviously, having the nets that little bit higher, just obviously takes it off your mind a little bit. Okay, so I've got 3 rods set up. I've got 2 of the Horizon Pro distancers set up, 12 foot. I've got 1 clipped up in that gap across there, just in front of that tree, just upstream of that overhanging tree. I haven't gone mega tight, all right, because obviously I'm going to have a hook length on as well, and I can start there, and obviously I can work my way across if I do want to go tighter across as the match progresses. So I've started just that little bit off it, plus really tight over there isn't much flow. I know obviously there's more cover, but obviously I've got the option to go tighter across if I need to. So that is my chub line, if you want to call it that. I've also got another rod clipped up on that spot, and that is on an XD rod, and that is because that's got 10-pound line on it. That is like a really heavy, it's the rig I've been using, or the setup I've been using for barbel this weekend. So that is there if I need it. Obviously if I've got to go chasing a barbel or chasing bigger chub, or if I have trouble with snags and stuff, that 10-pound main line should give me a better chance of landing any fish. So that is there as an option. And then the other one is, again, it's a 12-foot Horizon Pro 90 gram, and that is clipped up at 18 meters, and that is just off the front edge of that overhanging tree, probably 4-5 meters downstream. And that is obviously my catch anything sort of a line. That's where I'm just going to fish for bites. Got some ground bait. I've got the F1 and Match Method Dark 50-50 combination again, which is what I've been using all weekend. And on that I'm going to be feeding a bit of chopped worm, might have some pinkies, maggots, just fishing for bites. And it is quite deep there as well, so you know, I do fancy that for a few bites. And that is really it, just 2 lines. I'm not going to put a really short line in. If there was any weed here, I might put a really short line in for catching any sort of perch or anything, but I'm not in contention for the festival. You know, I was second in my section yesterday, which was great, but obviously after the disappointment of day one, it put me out of contention for the actual overall festival. So I'm just going to fish those 2 lines and focus on them. Well, it's a while since I had this jacket on. Looks like the bank holiday sunshine's finished now. It is bank holiday Monday and it's raining. I think it's going to be on and off today, so it shouldn't affect the fishing. I'm going to start across underneath that other bank with a maggot feeder, try and catch an early chub or chublets, and I'm not going to feed that other line initially because I just want that first cast to be undisturbed. I don't want to feed anywhere else in the peg. I'll have a couple of casts across there, and if I don't get anything or any signs, then that's when I'll feed that 18 metre line slightly downstream with a bit of ground bait and a bit of chopped worm and just maybe a few casters just to kick start it, and then just feel my way into it and fish it with small baits and just see if we can catch anything. I'm going to kick off with 3 maggots on the hook, just see if there's any greedy chublets there. Good luck, lads. That rattle straight away. What if I've got a little fish? No. Plenty of boats already. Well, that explains it. Not the bonus chub I intended catching, but it is a chub. So a few more casts on this, see if we can get a bonus fish. Then if not, I'm going to set up that shorter line. A couple of little chublets on that and a perch, but no signs of a bonus fish, so I'm going to set up that short line. Definitely can't leave it in there long. Just too many boats today. Well, there is at the moment. small fish, but we'll have one more cast across there. If I don't get a bonus or anything, I'm going to have a look on that 18 metre line. You've got to pick your casts in between boats as well. Check left and right before you cast in. No, that's it. We'll have a look on that shorter line. That's first cast on that short line. Little roach. Just going to stick on that line now and just see what there is, see how it develops over this next half hour or so. Well, I hope this boat traffic's going to slow down. It's a bit relentless at the moment. I don't know if it's going to affect this line or not. This 18 metre line is pretty much where every boat, nearly every boat, is going over. That's 2 roach in the first 2 casts. And hopefully the traffic will slow down. Came off that one, but there are obviously some small fish there. This is a 28 gram feeder, and to be honest, it's a bit too heavy. I think I could get away with one lighter. There's so little flow on the river, so I'm just going to step it down to a lighter feeder. And it's only small as well, obviously, because I'm casting so frequently. I don't want to keep piling too much bait in. Not at the moment, anyway. Just fishing for bites. Putting 2 or 3 casters in as well as some chopworm, just while I feel his way into it. We've got a downstream wind as well, which is contributing to that bow. I've actually just gone the other way. I started missing a few bites on that 20 gram feeder, which is ideal for holding bottom, getting me out there. But because I'm fishing like a bolt rig, as you can see, the 30 gram feeder is definitely better for that. This feeder's making a bit more noise, but it's definitely better for hooking fish. Or it's better for fish hooking themselves, should I say. Chunky perch, definitely heavier than them little days. We're just approaching the halfway stage now, and it's difficult to see where the weight's going to come from, to be honest. I haven't got a clue what's been caught. Lad above me, I've seen him, he has netted a fish. I couldn't quite tell what it was. It's not a bream, so it could be a perch or a roach or a little barbel or a chub or something, I don't know. And then he's had a few small fish. Other than that, I can't see anybody. So we're just coming up to the halfway stage. That far line, I can't get anything over there now. No chublets, nothing. So I think the only place where I'm going to get any fish from, or any sort of number of fish or bites, is going to be that 18-metre line over towards that overhanging tree. So that's where I'm going to focus. Just initially see if we can get some bites, get some fish back there again, and if they are small fish, and obviously try and catch them. If not, just go for, you know, try and catch a better quality of fish with chunky bits of worm or 2 or 3 maggots. Or I'm just going to experiment with that now, because I'm definitely not going to get the numbers of fish now that I need. So I'm going to obviously go for try and get a better quality. What I've done is I've stepped up now, stepped up to a 14. I'm just going to fish with slightly bigger baits now. I'm just going to try just an MXB2 I've got on there, size 14, with a piece of worm on, just to see if, you know, there are any better fish there. I'm certainly not going to get the numbers of those small fish that I need. Well, that's a better stamp. Not huge, but bigger. Snag me up. Well, that was a better fish. Snagged me up on something. No sign of weed or anything. So I'll stick with this a little bit longer, because that was obviously a better fish. I don't know what it was. Let's hope there's more of them. A bonus. Not a huge fish. It might indicate there are 1 or 2 skimmers down there, or bream even. I just sat and waited a bit longer that time, just on double maggot. I haven't put any maggots in. Maybe I'll just slow it down a little bit before I come off this line. Just putting chopworm and casters through. Not getting very many bites now, especially with a shorter hook length, but that might indicate that I can sit with the bait on properly with this short hook length, and hopefully we might find 1 or 2 better net fish. Well, I've just gone back across now. That skimmer was just kind of on its own, and then bites have just dried up completely on that 18-metre line. It's feeling very strange at the minute. I can't really feel where a weight of fish are going to come from, so I'm just going back across now, just to see if there's any little chublets or a bonus chub over there. Beautiful roach, that one. There's 2 of those that I've had now, just out of the blue. They're a better stamp. If they kept coming, that'd be great. Getting a few bites now. I've just scaled back down again. Got a size 16 hook on at the moment. I'm getting a few bites. Like I say, I haven't heard anything about how it's fishing, and this is the only line I can get any bites on, so I'm just going to stick with it. Still missing the odd bite, but that wind keeps coming and going. When it's blowing downstream, this 20 gram feed is not quite as good. I could do with a 30 gram on, but when there's no wind, the 20 is best. So I'm having to keep changing. See, that was on the drop then. You look at the size of these fish. I wonder why you're missing bites. That actually took as the feeder was falling down, falling through the water. So you're always going to miss a few bites when there's fish of that size around. Lovely roach. They just won't keep coming and just can't pin them down for some reason. I'm just going to keep plodding on, that's all I can do. And keep trying a bigger bait on, just see if I can pick out a better fish. I've got a feeling those fish will have been getting caught all day on the pole and float tactics. So I've definitely got some catching up to do. Great if they kept coming. Not huge fish, but they're definitely a better stamp. And the boats are still coming. We've got an hour left. I'm not going to change. I still haven't heard anything about any of you know what's been caught. I'm just going to keep going on this line and catch whatever I can. Beautiful fish, they keep coming. Brilliant stamp. Hooks come out in the net. Skimmer. Single caster again. Time! No idea how I've done. I've got a funny feeling that the lad at next peg, the way that he's fished, certainly for that last 2 hours, he's fished for bigger fish. So whether he's done that because he's had to do it, or whether he's done it because they've caught bigger fish to his left, and so you know, they've caught as well. I've got a feeling that might be the case, but you know, I don't really know what the potential was for bigger fish like chub and that on these pegs here, because I don't know them. So I've had 2 or 3 sessions across, not really produced anything, just the odd small chublets. So the vast majority of the weight that I've got has come on that 18 metre line. Caster turned out to be best, certainly in that last. My best hour has been between 2 and 3 o'clock. That 4th hour, that was by far the best hour. And then that last hour has not really got going. It's gone a bit iffy. So. But you know, I've had plenty of bites, I've got plenty of fish. I don't think there's much weight there, but like I say, other than the lad next to me, I can't see anyone else, so I've no idea what's been caught. So I'm obviously hoping that there hasn't been too much caught, but it will be interesting to hear what's been caught. But no, I've enjoyed it. The rain stayed off, which was good. I've had plenty of bites, I've had a day's fishing. So I'm going to get the gear packed away and wait for the scales to come down. £11 two. Mixed bag. Busy day's fishing. Well, I can't believe it, but that weight has actually won the whole 10 peg section. It's won the whole section here. So that would have put me on 1 point, or it's put me on 1 point for the festival, which I'm obviously really pleased with, especially the decision I made just to fish for fish, and that's been the right thing to do. It's a bit of a bittersweet thing because I won my section today. Yesterday I was second, so that was just 3 points in 2 days. Had events not panned out like they did on day one of this festival, things could have been very, very different, you know, because that's 3 points in over 2 days. So it'll be interesting to see what the winner of this festival is going to have points wise, but obviously that's, you know, that's all down to what happened on day one, unfortunately. So the best thing for me personally is that whilst there's a lot of people float fishing on the river, in these conditions when it's low, it's clear, it does suit float fishing. However, I think once again it's shown that with a bit more of a refined approach on a feeder, you can catch and compete on the feeder, and I think that's important for people to kind of know about, certainly people who are wanting to come and fish venues like this. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this bit of an insight. I will put the full results up next for you to show you who's won the festival and everything, but I've enjoyed it. Obviously, you know, there's the overshadow of what happened on day one, but day 2 and day 3 today, as I've really enjoyed it. Caught loads of fish, had plenty of bites, and to be quite honest, my own personal opinion is, not that I'm an expert in any way, is that because there are so many small fish in the river, you would normally say that that's a great sign for the future of the river. You know, I think that can only be a good sign. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a tiring 3 days, but I'm going to head up to the headquarters now, go and see the payout.